Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Ask Rudy Anything. So sorry we started a little late. We had some technical difficulties, and some people who are watching or rather listening in probably heard Todd and I just kind of working through some of those issues. So that's some of the things that you run into with live video, right? Unfortunately, but I want to let you guys know that I'm Rudy, CEO of Switchboard Live, and we're going to do things a little bit differently today. Because we have a special guest on the show. Again, that is Todd Bergin. And also, this is just me, right? So Hannah isn't here next to me. So we decided we wanted to try things and do things a little differently. But we thought it'd be pretty cool to talk about some of the most common live streaming myths, right? And we want to do that with the one and the only Todd Bergin, or better known as Todd.live. Quick intro of Todd. Todd is the live video pro behind the Entrepreneur Live Video and Grammar School podcast, as well as Slam Dunk Studio. He's a very, 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 very long time Switchboard user. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in Todd Bergin. Todd, hey, can you hear me, bud?
I can hear you just fine, my friend.
Awesome. Why don't you introduce yourself to the folks, the thousands of folks that are watching our live stream right now?
Now, am I on screen right now?
You are on screen for sure.
Okay, because I'm watching on. Oh, there we go. I thought I was looking for the split screen.
Yeah, that's coming next.
So what was your question again? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I was on screen.
Yeah, no worries. I want you to give the opportunity to introduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll hop in the split screen.
Okay, so I am a live streamer. That's where I got my start in digital media. I see we've got a delay. I'm not used to using Facebook this way, but we got a little delay. That's why I didn't see myself. But yeah, I started as a live streamer about 3 years ago. Probably about a year into it, I got onto Switchboard Live because one of my big missions was to be multiple places at one time, so that when I do an hour show with somebody, I can reach the most people possible, because some people prefer Facebook or YouTube or Periscope, which I think Periscope's kind of like a dead horse at this point. But yeah, I have. I've done live videos. I've had a lot of different kinds of shows. Most of them are interview shows, and I do some live video for the Entrepreneur Live Video and the Grammar School. Both of them their own podcasts. They're more of a podcast than a live show, but I do a live show component for each of them, where the podcasts are like 5 to 15 minutes long each one. But if I want to interview somebody, it might be more like an hour show, and we'll record it live, and then I'll format it for podcast. So it's more of a podcast show than it is a live video show. But yeah, I've been on, and I've had my own shows. It's awesome. You really have a great way of connecting with people with live video in ways that you can't with any other content. I am getting ready to start several live shows. One of them is going to be what I call do-it-yourself broadcaster. I think I'm going to be doing that on YouTube. And that'll be covering all types of broadcasts, whether it's podcasts, live video, recorded video, even images on Instagram, whatever kind of fits under the broadcast umbrella. I've got another live show. Well, I'm going to revamp the Grammar School show, and actually there's a component to it called Show and Tell, where listeners of the podcast can come over, and I'll put my phone on the screen and show you how to do things, or maybe I'll do bio audits. There will be all sorts of stuff there. To be quite honest with you, some of these are so fresh in my mind, I don't know that I could finish talking about them and get the titles correct. But I do have a live. I'm going to try this. This is going to be something new, and maybe we can talk about this a little bit today. But I've never done a live video for like a secret or a private group, and I'm going to be starting an academy, and I want to make exclusive content for people that are in that academy, where I go live, and it's a real personal experience that's exclusive to the people that have joined my academy, and I think that'll be a great thing. I've just never heard of anybody really broadcasting to a private or a secret group. So maybe you have. But that's pretty much the introduction. I'm a recovering attorney, and I'm real happy since I'm not practicing law after 10 years since I left it.
10 years?
I wouldn't recommend that on anybody.
Wow. Well, cool. If you don't mind, I'd say let's jump right into it, right? So I know we had some folks out there. We had a little, like I said, technical difficulty at the beginning. But one of the things we want to talk about today is just debunking some of the live streaming myths, right? And one of the live streaming myths that always come up is like for us, right? So right now, we're using kind of some equipment here, but most people think that you have to hire professionals. You need a camera operator, a boom operator, key grips. What are your thoughts on that? Like, is that the case or not?
It's not. And I want to say one thing before Jen throws her computer against the wall for something she thought I said there. Jen Nelson's a good friend of mine. We've done videos together. I think she heard me say that I said Facebook was a dead horse. I think I said Periscope was a dead horse.
You said Periscope.
Yeah, so I just want to clear that up so she doesn't sit there wondering what the heck I'm talking about. Yeah, you do not need... Look, I just went through 10 minutes of, oh my gosh, what's wrong with my system, and it happens. And if you have a crew, it's going to happen to them. Okay, there's no perfection in video. There's no perfection in audio. It's arguable that I'm more of a podcaster these days than I am a live video guy because I haven't been doing as many lives. But there's no perfection to it.
Sure.
And people like watching live videos that are nicely done, but that aren't this is how I feel, where the host is controlling the show. Now, is it nice to have a crew so you can sit back away from all the equipment and all you do is worry about the show? That's fabulous. And Owen Video has a team. He's a good friend of mine, and he's able to do that. Him and his wife sit in lounge chairs, and they've got people behind the scenes that are controlling the whole show.
Okay.
My friend Jen Nelson, she has I don't know if she's still doing it, but she has or had a company where they were, even remotely, like they would be, she and her partner, he would be in, I think, Virginia, and she was up in Maryland somewhere, and they would be handling the show for somebody in Colorado. And so, you can have a team all over the place, but on the other hand, I like being a do-it-yourselfer, at least at this stage. I want to feel like I know all the nuts and bolts to what's going on.
Okay.
So as I grow my business and grow my income, I can afford to hire the right people and show them what to do, and I'll also know how to pay them. But I like doing my own switching. It's an education for me. And it makes you a pro. Mm-hmm. And I think Jen and it was Jonathan. His name's not on the top of my head. I haven't seen him as much online, but they did the same thing. They do a lot of switching for their own shows, but then they also would hire out and do other people's shows. And so I think both ways are great. I think that if you're starting out, if you truly want to know what's going on in your studio and you truly want to be a professional and not have to rely on other people for things. We just had a breakdown, and I had to solve my audio. I had to then solve my video, and I had to solve my tripod leaning over. And I got it done in 10 minutes because I know how to do it, right, because I've done it. And I think you educate yourself so that if there's problems, and there always are in live streams, you know how to solve it, or you've got people that are helping you who know how to solve it as well.
Yeah, and I think depending on the type of content, right? So my feedback would be, especially if whatever type of content you're creating, one, it's compelling and it's engaging, right? So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is just like we're doing now, right? We're getting out there, you're starting off, well, for us, you've been around for a number of years and doing this, but for us, we're practicing what we're preaching rather, right? Get out there, right. Go live, and that's going to bring people in, right? Especially if what you're producing makes sense. Again, it's compelling, it's engaging, it's thought-provoking, and I would say probably the audio has to be good, right? You can probably, yes, if you have crappy video but you have great audio, people will fight through it. But if you have, crappy video and crappy audio as well, forget about it, right? They're goners. So in short, no, you don't need to hire professionals. You don't need to hire, all these folks. I mean, you can gradually work your way up there in time as your business grows, as your stream production grows. But initially, just start off, get out there, use a laptop, use a phone, right? There's so many different things that you could use to kind of even start off with. So, well, cool.
Yeah, all right. I wish I didn't know that would be one of the questions, of course, and I like that. I appreciate not knowing what's coming, but I have pictures that we could have used and that show the progression, because I didn't start with all this stuff.
Sure.
I started with, I was watching Gary Vaynerchuk promote his book, Ask Gary V, and he did he called a Super 8. And so he was on 8 platforms for 8 hours, and I was homesick with the flu that day. And I was already getting into live video, but he dazzled me with what he was doing. Now, he had a whole team. He had like an individual running each camera, and each camera was going to a different, there was Spreecast and Meerkat and lots of things that don't exist now.
How long ago was this?
3 years probably.
Okay, all right, got it.
It was on the when Meerkat was getting near to be dead, and I think that's been about 3 years. YouTube Live wasn't there yet, but they were somehow, there was YouTube Live, just not in the sense that we know it today, and they had figured that out, and they were going to YouTube. They were going to Periscope. I don't think Facebook Live, I know Instagram Live wasn't then, or maybe it was. But anyway, I watched that, and I thought it was stunning to be able to go to multiple platforms And I had this old laptop, the one I'm actually using right now with you for Skype. It's an old laptop, a Mac, but it works well enough for what we're doing today. And this is what I had. And I decided I had to go live multiple places. And I tried to do it from just my laptop with Wirecast and sending a signal all these different places. But
what
because
happened?
I was sending... Pardon?
I said, what happened? What was the problem?
Well, you know what happened. My CPU is always at the max, which means, and it probably needed about 200% of what I had. Of course, I was maxing at 100, so there was packet loss. There was all sorts of things. Part of this, too, was because I was using Wi-Fi at the time and I hadn't figured out that an Ethernet connection would be a better choice. You know how many people I've talked to that are like, I get this fuzzy video and it's choppy and the sound doesn't align. You have an Ethernet connection. They're like, no, I never thought of that. Go try it. And they're like, my goodness, it changed my life. I went from crap to excellent just in that one change.
Well, I got a question for you. So the gear that you have, right, is it one of the myths is it, you need a lot of cash, right, that it's expensive. What are your thoughts on the gear, right? Is it expensive? Is it not?
It can add up, and you define expensive on the basis of each individual's wallet. What's expensive to me might seem like pennies to Jeff Adams or Stephen Haywood.
Sure.
But what's expensive to them, might not be expensive for a television studio.
Sure.
It's where you're at. If you're getting started, you're going to look at what I have and say, okay, that's, if you don't count the computer, that's going to be $4,000 worth of equipment and wires and everything. And that's a lot of money. So what you said a minute ago is absolutely true. You start where you can start. I started with that beat-up old laptop. I didn't know what I was doing. There was no reason for me to go and buy everything I have now because I started with that old laptop, and I realized it taught me a few things. My CPU usage, my laptop wasn't strong enough. I had to upgrade my laptop.
Okay.
I had to, work through the problem of the Ethernet cord. That took me months to figure out. And in hindsight, it's like, what was I thinking? How did I not think about that? But we're all accustomed to using Wi-Fi for everything anymore, and it's just not a good way to go about it for live.
Right.
I found you because even after I got a new computer and just using Wirecast to go to Periscope, wherever I was going, Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook, I didn't have the power. And my internet didn't have the power. So I boosted my internet, and I found you guys when you were Joycaster, which is a name I always loved. I like your name now, but I always loved Joycaster, and I imagine it confused people. It wasn't specific enough.
Thank you.
But your name now is, when you read your name, you know what your company does. Where Joycaster, you kind of have to wonder what's going on here.
Yep.
But I learned that, and I didn't start with Joycaster. I started with buying multiple iPads and using my phone.
No way.
And so, yeah. So I don't think I can show you. I could try to turn this.
So you would have multiple iPads, and you would like start a stream on various ones, and how are you controlling that?
Well, I have all three. So one's Facebook, one's Periscope, and one's Instagram.
I love it.
I would turn the camera and show you
Don't do it.
directly
Don't do
behind
it.
me here, but I don't want to screw it up and have to fiddle with it.
Don't do it.
But I have an Archon mount TriCaster, and I have an iPad in each one, and I have another one of these microphones, these Heil microphones, to where I don't really ever use them, but I was planning to, and you can see them in the picture. You can see the iPads.
Yeah, you're right. Wow.
There's 3 iPads there from the days when I would only use iPads. Well, I didn't only use them. I'd use those, I'd use a phone, and I'd use my computer, and I'd be going live to multiple places. But that was a real hassle. So that's when I found you guys. That's when I started doing my research. And so all these little things were steps, okay? Everything I have in my equipment, I have 2 mixers over here, $500 worth of mixers, and one of them is a $100 job. I'm a big fan of Mackie. I bought the big one for podcasting, integrated it into live video. Oh, this is another little story. I was a podcaster and a live streamer. I had a different desk for each, and I had the double of the equipment. Every desk, the 2 desks had, because I was afraid to mix podcasting and live video with one mixer and one compressor. So I did that for a year, and then I thought, I got to figure a way to jam all these together, and so I have one desk. And that was part of the learning. I would have never known how to do that getting started because I had a guy teach me podcasting, but there was no one teaching live video.
Got it.
So one day I just took the whole thing apart, started putting it back together, and that's because I had gained the knowledge to do that. So going back to your premise about the price of equipment and trying to start with it all or that you have to have it all, absolutely not. Whoever gets started at whatever level you're at, if it's something that's working for your business, you're going to want to get to the next level at some point. And you'll grow as you grow. You just can't jump into all this stuff.
So here's a crazy stat for you, right? So we got some show notes from our fantastic production team with Hannah and Jordan that 77% of folks have a chance of producing a live stream right now. Do you know what that device is that they could use to go live right now with?
Most likely their mobile device.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So think about that, right? That has better camera and audio.
Yep. Than Spike Lee had when he made Do the Right Thing.
Exactly, right? So, again, right, it's, hey, you have this device with, iPhones and Pixel devices and 4K and, all these great lenses that are in these devices. Why not, start there and leverage those to begin, right? In short, the answer is no, it's not expensive, right? The chances are you can do that right now, right, today. So, here's one I think that is probably pretty good. Live video, it's only for the younger crowds, right? The younger kids. It attracts the younger audience. Is that true or false in your Not mind?
Even close. Most of the live streamers are 40 and over.
Really?
I believe. I'm probably gauging that from my crowd. We've got a couple pushing 50-some guys. Me, Ross Brand, Professor Nez, Brad Friedman. We're all pushing, and that's who I see mostly. But it seems to me that what I do see on the internet, and I have a great many friends on there, that the bulk of people are probably 35 to 50. And not that this is a direct example of what you're talking about, but I have friends on YouTube who are growing very, very fast, and they're even over 60, some of them. And their clientele on YouTube, the people that are reaching out to them and talking and getting educated by some of these people, are college-age students.
It seemed like you were reading the show notes. So, like 84% of adults on the internet between the ages of 30 and 49 were using Facebook in 2016. So, just that stat that you kind of came to based on your own decision is a nail in the coffin. I'm pretty sure that number's probably even went up more over the last 2 years.
You know what? I didn't read your show notes. I started skimming them, but then I started having problems in the studio. So this is mental. I'm able to read your mind. That's another one of my talents.
Well, okay. It just shows that you know what you're talking about, right?
Well, perhaps. Yeah, I hope so.
So here's one I think is perfectly in your kind of thing that live streaming's hard, right? The learning curve is extremely, extremely steep. Is that true or false?
I think for the most part it is false.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Okay. Well, this was using Instagram Live, so in fairness, that's a pretty easy thing to do. That's not going live on Facebook or YouTube, and particularly with software and other things. But I was at Social Media Marketing World last year, and there were some live video tables. I'm sure you spent some time there as well in the big conference room where you had a booth. And I went up and I was sitting there eating lunch or doing something, and in fact, I think I talk about this in some of my other stuff this week, but some married woman who, I call her woman, but she's, young lady, because she was probably 15 years or 20 years younger than me, was out here from Michigan, and she sat at the table, and I, said, hey, do you do live video? And no, not yet. And I said, well, why not? And she goes, because I don't know what to say, and nobody's going to listen. I don't have a big audience, nothing. And I haven't been trained. These are all the common objections that you've heard over and over. I don't know how to broadcast. I don't know how, what would I say? No one wants to listen. Who am I? I feel like I get stuck and wouldn't know what to say next, and all that's nonsense. Maybe for your first couple of videos it might be a little tricky, but so I'm sitting there and I hear her story, and she's telling me all this stuff, and I said, well, we're going to go live now on your device, and she's like, what? And I said, we're going to go live right now. We're just going to bust through this, and we're going to, because I was where you were at one point, and I busted through it surprisingly quick, I thought, but I said, we're going to get you going right now. And she said, well, what? She just didn't know what to say. And I said, what do you have on your phone? Facebook, Periscope, Instagram, whatever. What's your favorite platform to mess with? She said, Instagram. And I said, okay, Instagram Live. We're going live right now. And she's like, can I go to the bathroom, check my hair, make sure I'm happy? I said, no, we're going live right now, or I'm going to take off. I want you to do it with me right now, and I'll go on it too with you, and we'll just talk to whoever shows up.
Right.
She says, well, what will we talk about? And I said, well, you're from Michigan. You ever been to San Diego? No. You like the weather here? You like this view of the beach outside the hotel? Yeah. Who have you seen so far? Sue Zimmerman, Chris Ducker, Pat Flynn, Michael Stelzner. I said, okay. I said, what do you think? We're in here having lunch. I said, what do you think of this food? And she goes, it's all right, I guess. And I said, yeah, it's all right too, but I don't like that they're serving Pepsi. I hate Pepsi, and I would much rather have a Coke, or at least a choice for something else. But and she said, you know what? I don't like Pepsi either. So I said, okay, so here's what we're going to talk about. You could talk about, you're from Michigan, you've never been to San Diego, and actually you've never been to California. You think the weather here is awesome compared to Michigan. You're here at the Social Media Marketing World, which is the premier event in the country for this kind of a thing. You've seen Stelzner, you've seen Sue, you've seen Chris Ducker,
awesome.
All these people you've seen. You don't like the Pepsi. The lunch is fair, but you don't like the Pepsi. Surprisingly, that's going to be the part of the video that's going to be build you the best connection with people out there, because people love where you have to take a stand. And there's a lot of people out there that hate Pepsi too.
Right.
And so we're going to talk about these things. So we go into Instagram Live. Her husband comes in. Her mom comes in. A few of her friends come in. And everyone's loving it. She's even loving it as she's doing it. She pretty much doesn't have me in the camera. It's just her.
Sure.
Even though I go in for a minute. And when she hung up, she turned and looked at me and was crying. She said, that's one of the most... when I tell stories of other people crying, particularly when I had a hand in it, makes me want to cry. But she's like, that's one of the most monumental events in my entire life. I've been so scared to do that, and it was so easy.
Yeah, that
just
first
like
time,
that.
right? That breaking the ice, right?
Yep.
And correct me if I'm wrong, is this some of the things that you talk about in some of the courses that you have, or no?
Yeah, here's the thing with my courses. My courses are very advanced courses, and I kind of shot myself in the foot. I'm a new digital course creator. I started doing that last summer.
Okay.
My friend Mike Vardy put me up to a challenge to create my first product, and I kind of shot really high in that. It's an extremely comprehensive package called Slam Dunk Studio 1 and 2. So the first one basically teaches you all the equipment, tells you where to buy it, how to buy it, what to think about if you're considering other options. The second video is how to hook it all together. The first video has a very low price tag, and the second video is, it's more like $700 or $800 or something. But the way I shot myself in the foot with this is I didn't start at the ground up. I mean, I could have built a course first where it's just getting people to do it for the first time.
Right.
And then have another course where, look, if you want to add some good audio to your home studio, here's what you need. And take baby steps instead of doing this one massive thing. Mm-hmm. And the massive thing doesn't include the baby steps. It's just straight to advanced. So, I've sold some, but it's,
yeah, I think
I do need to work it a little bit.
That's a great example of just the technique, right? Where, she was there, obviously, with intent to learn and connect and network with folks. It's the idea of doing that was definitely there, but she just didn't know where to start, right? And so by you kind of going through that, couple minute exercise to say, hey, look, let's be authentic, right? Let's talk about what's going on right now and kind of go from there. And then at the end of that, like you said, that she was able to break through the ice and go live. And typically that's usually the first thing that people struggle with is where do they need to start and so forth. So that's awesome. That's a great story. Yeah. I love that story.
You know what? I need to create some sort of a lead magnet where it's a 10-minute extra, or maybe I do a video and it's like, hey, get your phone out of your pocket. Okay, now you're going to do Instagram. Mm-hmm. Just kind of coach them through it, and put a $20 price tag on it or something like that. So people who would love to take the first step can, they don't have to put a lot of money into it, and and maybe I throw in there, a couple minutes of time where we're on Skype or something. But it is, people just need to bust through all of these objections that
right.
My wife has said it. I'm not trained to be on the camera. Well, who cares? Don't let that hold you back. You're going to have your own persona. You're not going to be on, CNN or Fox News right now. You're going to be on your phone, and people that you're friends with and people who follow you, whatever you're doing, they're the ones that are going to see it. They're not going to fault you for mistakes or it's not perfect. They're not looking for perfection.
No, you're absolutely right. Let's switch subjects a bit, right? So you were talking about social media marketing world, right? That's a huge event. Folks travel probably all over the world to go to that in San Diego. And one of the myths, can't say that word. One of the myths is that live streaming will actually decrease the event attendance. What do you think about that? Is that something that you hear a lot, just kind of in your day-to-day, or do you believe that is the case?
I haven't talked to anybody about that. I haven't thrown a convention of any kind, but I have been to events where they do not want people in the audience to live stream because they'll set up their phone on a tripod mm-hmm. and record entire, Joel Kahn might be on stage, or, I think that...
Well, no, I get that. I'm talking about just in general, right? So maybe you have like a main stage and there's an opportunity to stream that. And kind of have like virtual tickets, right? So people think about, well, do I go to an event or do I just stay home and watch it, and pay a third of the price or a fourth of the price?
It might decrease attendance, but on the other hand, a lot of those people have restrictions from them being there anyway, and this gives them an option to be there. So there might be some people that say, gosh, I can buy the $170 ticket and just see all the shows later and not have to pay for the hotel and the airfare and all that. And I can understand feeling that way, and you're giving them an option, but there's going to be other people who wouldn't be able to come anyway. Like my friend Gord Eisman. I don't know if you know Gord Eisman. He's one of the people pardon, you know him?
No, I do not.
Oh, okay. He's a live streamer, and he's a big YouTuber. Big. He's got like 4,000 or 5,000 followers, but I think he's 58, 59 years old, and he started doing Camtasia tutorials not too long ago. He had from a car wreck that he was involved in many, many years ago. He found that he had a brain injury that no one had found out about, and they had to deal with that. And he had like a jaws bite, like if he got bit by jaws on his head. It was huge.
Oh no!
And it prohibited him from coming to Vid Summit this year in Los Angeles. He was there last year, so he couldn't come. So there's going to be plenty of people. Maybe their excuse or reason for not coming is a lot less extreme, as finding out a car wreck 20 years ago has really injured you in a way no one found out, and preventing him from coming. But there's going to be people that choose not to go because of whatever. There's going to be people that can't go for medical, money, whatever, who would like to get in. And I would think that it would balance out to some degree.
Yeah,
quite honestly.
One of the things that we found out is, and it was an event I attended earlier this year. I wish I knew the exact stat, but think of it as a way, as an advertisement, right? It's an easy way for folks, like you said, that can't attend, to now learn about the event firsthand, and then be able to either budget or put it on their list for next year, right? So It's a way to kind of actually increase audience engagement, and then also increase the ability for them to attend next time, because it is a tool that can be used in such that manner. And then they're more likely to buy it because they've had that sneak peek. We're not saying you don't have to stream the entire event or the entire show, but there could be maybe the keynote. There could be some look-ins or some key elements that folks are interested in learning more about. But you're right. There's some extenuating circumstances that allow them not to attend. But being able to offer that is a great way to use that as a opportunity to learn more about it and then plan for the upcoming way. And in fact, the gentleman, this was at Summit Live that was in San Fran. He was actually from Eventbrite, and it was probably 40 to say 60%. It actually increased ticket sales, and they actually did the event, right? Or they did the study rather. So coming from a reputable company like Eventbrite, I'm sure they have their business analysts running those tests. So yeah, I think that's definitely something that busts that myth that it will decrease your ticket sales overall.
Yeah, well, and the other thing too, if I were doing my own show, I know one thing, that people that would choose the digital ticket over the in-person ticket are missing out on the most important thing that happens at these shows. Social media marketing world, Vid Summit. I was just at Vid Summit, and I know he sold a lot of digital tickets, but when you're not at the show, because the show, as you grow, when you're starting out and you don't really know anybody, the show is about the presentations. You go there, you go see presentations. If you're at a restaurant or a bar or something, having a drink in the hotel that you're staying at, you'll start meeting some people. As you do collaborations online, interviewing, whatever, you'll start meeting people. And the value over time will quickly switch over from the value is in the room, like, hey, I'm going to get to see Gary Vaynerchuk on stage, to the value is the networking that you do out in the hallway with other people that are at your level, with other people that are, that maybe they're not Gary Vaynerchuk's, but you're going to meet all sorts of people who are at various levels. And I've been saying this for a long time, that when you go to a show, and I actually made this up, it just came out of my mouth one day when I was online talking about the Los Angeles. What was the show you just went to in San Francisco? The
Summit Live.
Yeah, I went to the Summit Live in Los Angeles a couple of years ago. Jen Nelson, if she's still with us in this video, she was there too. I met her there, but I didn't find the presentations to be monumental breakthrough for me because of the level that I had gotten at. So I was being interviewed about this, and I told somebody, I said, I'm finding quickly that the value at all these conventions that I spend a lot of money and time doing is not in the stage and who I'm seeing on the stage. It's who I'm meeting out in the hallway. The value is in the hall. That was what I said. The value is in the hall. And I found
that's a quote right there. The value
it is, and
in the
I said
hall.
it to Professor Nez. I need to put it on a shirt because he interviewed me right after Summit Live, and he said, what did you get out of this? And I said the entire value was in the hallway for me. Mm-hmm. I did enjoy seeing people on stage, but I wasn't really learning from people on stage because I had already figured a lot of this out. And one of the things about these conventions is that for most of them, they're teaching very basic stuff. Like if you go in someone's room and they're teaching Patreon, or if you go in someone's room and they're teaching YouTube, they're really working on a lot of basic things because most of the attendees are new or lower level, and you have to assume they are. If the event is going to be more specific and higher level, then the event needs to be labeled that and a different price charge. And it's a smaller event. It's like, I'm going to have, like if you were Sean Cannell, you could say, hey, I'm going to have 20 people come in and we're going to roll up our sleeves and really work on the nuts and bolts of YouTube for the person who's got a decent channel, like maybe somebody with 5,000 subscribers. Mm-hmm. You're going to charge more per ticket, and it's going to be very exclusive, and you might even have to go through an approval process before you're allowed into the class.
Got it.
Because he wants people that are there for that, what he's doing. I don't think he's doing this kind of a show. I just am proposing that. But if he's going to do a show more like the one I went to last month or 2 months ago called Grow with Video Live, he's teaching to a lot of people who are just getting started. So it's a totally different show. It's going to be more people and a cheaper ticket. Right, so, right. I think the value would not be in the hall if I was going to a high level Sean, even though I've only got like 275 subscribers on YouTube. If I was in a high level thing of his, I just don't do YouTube as much, but I know what I'm doing. At least I think I do to some degree.
Got it.
So that's what I think.
All right.
Value in the hall.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that quote there. So this is the last one I wanted to kind of talk about. It's probably dear to our hearts over here. The ability to stream across social channels. You can't do that, right? Or if you wanted to do that, you would need kind of like what you mentioned, right? Having multiple devices or multiple encoders, multiple sets of gear to be able to do that. Is that a fact or a fiction? Kind of an easy softball there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not true. Mm-hmm. Your service makes it possible very easily. I like using broadcast software. I've already mentioned I use Wirecast. I don't like OBS one bit. And I haven't tried the rest, but I got onto Wirecast, and there's no looking back right now. Okay. And I've got a relationship with them. I haven't made any money off them, but I have a relationship where if I need something, a favor or something, I can usually talk to the right person and work something out. But Wirecast is very easy to use, and I don't know that. I mean, I wouldn't call it integrating with Switchboard, but once you set it up, it's very easy to get going. And yes, you can go live to multiple things. Going live with multiple mobile devices, I didn't really mind that all that much. That contraption behind me, mm-hmm. it worked. I mean, it worked, but I wasn't able to bring in broadcast or professional broadcast. I like lower thirds and graphics, and sure. I like the screenshots. And when you're using something like that, there is no screen except for the one screen you've got. There's no lower thirds. So yeah, I mean, your product is phenomenal, and I think that it's untrue that it's got to be hard.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not really where I would recommend people start. I'd say go live for a year and see where you're moving with it, or at least 6 months, and then dive into something more advanced. And there's plenty of people to help you with Switchboard and Wirecast out there, myself included. You, I mean, I know tons of people that sure. can help beginners. Totally, push the pedal on that.
I totally agree, right? I would definitely say for folks that want to start off in live streaming, pick one of the platforms, pick a product, and understand that, right? That should be kind of like your level one, right? Get that workflow really worked out, and then as you migrate, and then as you want to improve your workflow, then that's exactly where a product like Switchboard Cloud comes into play. Wirecast is a great piece of software. Obviously, you have your feelings about OBS. We're actually using a product called Ecamm Live, and where Switchboard Cloud is actually integrated into that.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and so that's makes it really easy as well. Then there's I'm trying to think, is there another vMix? Right? There's various different levels of like software that you can load onto your computer, and then there's some great applications on your phone, right? Switcher Studio is a fantastic iOS-based, iPhone and iPad application. So some of the things you were just mentioned, the lower thirds, the graphics and elements, people are producing shows on products like that. I remember one time, probably a couple months ago, I was chatting with a young lady who was interested in learning more about cloud, and she mentioned, so I was asking her about her setup, and she's like, yeah, I use Switcher Studio. And her preference was she'd rather use her iPad. She had the setup, she had everything, but it was just the simplicity. So instead of having to use, a laptop and hooking all those things up, she was like, this is just so much easier for me and my workflow, and I can do everything I need to do within that. So it's definitely finding, kind of like your main goal and working through that. And the only way you're going to do that is if you start off and try.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think that myth is busted. Switchboard Cloud is a product that's out there for anybody that wants to, stream to all their different social platforms, and destinations that matter most to them. So yeah, I think this was, definitely an awesome conversation. I don't know if you have anything you kind of want to close, and mention in closing. I mean, it's the end of the year. It's November 1, right? The 1st of November. We got 2 months left. Anything on your docket for this year and maybe Q1 of next year?
Yeah, well, one thing I want to add, one of the things that I've loved about using your service, I hate to turn things into a commercial, but we are, it is your business, and there, I think my experience carries a lot of weight because I think I've been using your product for 3 years at least.
Yeah.
Is when I got started with you guys, my only point of contact for a long time was Jason Fulbrook.
Okay.
And we got on the phone multiple times to work me through problems and to figure out the software. And he was just fantastic. I was hoping to hook up with him. He was out here in California for some skateboard or some motocross or something in Huntington Beach. And but I knew he was with his buddies, and we couldn't hook up. But that's been one of the things. I've been, we met at Social Media Marketing World
Sure.
Earlier this year, and we talked some about where things were headed and how we could work together. And then we did that one video where I was sitting on the couch over at the corporate center or whatever. But working with you guys has been very personal. Like a lot of the companies that do live video stuff, there's no real personal attention behind it. And I think they try. I don't think, anything I've tried to do, I've never felt like, I was shunned or anything with any other company. It's just that the level of attention that you guys have put into working with me through the years, even when I was not known by you guys, has always, that is worth its weight in gold. So
appreciate it.
I just kind of wanted to say that. As for me, I'm working hard on creating I batch my podcast. So my podcasts are 5 to 15 minutes long, and I'll record a whole month's worth in one day and just knock it out so I don't have to screw around with it the rest of the month. And I'm looking at the kind of content that I want to create between live video and recorded video because I really want to jump on YouTube better than I have. My YouTube has been miserable. I've been teaching myself editing. I've got all this stuff, and I've got the academy I've got coming up is called Social Media Video Creator and Marketing Academy. So we're going to cover the creative side, which I've got a lot that I've already learned there. The marketing is going to be kind of learn with me as we go.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to be doing live videos of that in my academy and doing live videos kind of for that in YouTube where everyone can see it. But I just really want to get back into the live streaming and video content creation. And I'm trying to create a calendar to where I can actually get stuff done.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to take my batching from podcast over into video.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go record with my mirrorless Sony, whatever it is, then I go out and record 20 videos. Take a few shirts out so it looks like I actually changed shirts, and take a bunch of videos. Find places here in Southern California. There's no shortage of them where I can stand in any direction and have kind of a different or interesting backdrop. But batching is huge, and you can't batch live really,
Sure.
because if you're live, and you can't be live. I guess you're batching it in a sense by being on multiple platforms through your product, but I can't record 30 lives and drip them out the rest of the month. But
Right.
I can batch produce my lower thirds or my promo cards, or if I'm going to invite guests to come on, I spend one whole day just inviting guests and communicating and trying to arrange it. That's a whole nightmare in and of itself. But I'm just trying to step up my game, and,
Awesome.
and I haven't live streamed much in a while, so it's time to get it back into that.
Well, you definitely got to get back on the horse.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for, hopping on the show today. Thanks for your time. Thanks for helping us debunk some of the live streaming myths. And looking forward to connecting with you, obviously, as 2019 starts off, and going from there, man. Todd Bergin.
I apologize. Am I going to see you at Social Media Marketing World?
Maybe it's
okay.
It's a firm maybe right now. So
all right.
We'll see. But it's been a pleasure, and thanks again for hanging out with us this afternoon, Todd. Take care, man.
Thank you for having me on. It was an honor.
Alrighty, man. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that was Todd Bergin with at Todd.live. Again, this was our third episode of Ask Me Anything with Rudy Ellis, and the next one hasn't been set yet, but definitely follow us on the socials. We'll be posting when that show is going to be live, and that's it. So thanks for your time. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Hi, my name is Kim Garst. I am an online business strategist.
I'm Ian Anderson-Gray. I'm the founder of Seriously Social.
Hey folks, I'm Todd Bergin, Todd.live.
My name is Leslie Samuel from
Well, I have the tendency to ramble too.
I am the CEO and Chief Strategist at Apple.
Hopefully.
My name's Tatiana El Khoury, and I run the art nonprofit Road to Artem.
I'm Avi Arya. I'm the founder of Internet Moguls.
Hi, my name is Justin Brown. I run a company with my brother Mike called Primal Video.
My name is Betsy Thompson, and I am with a direct sales company called LuLaRoe.
And I'm Warren Carter with Golden West College.
Hi, my name is Ben Rojek. I'm with Spirit Education.
Hi, my name is Matthew Walton with NC Media Services, and my clients use live video to connect with their members.
It's such an awesome opportunity, again, to connect.
Getting value from you that you can communicate with almost exclusive content for those that are watching and following them on social.
My audience want to see me and hear me.
That I wanted to be able to be everywhere.
We live stream our sports, all our athletic events. We live stream concerts. We live stream lectures by professors.
We utilize live video to train dentists.
We use live specifically to interact with our audience on YouTube.
So I have my watermarks for my logos. I bring in screen sharing to show some demos.
I go live on Facebook, in my Facebook group, and my Facebook, the other Facebook group. So it's crazy. That's why I stopped at your booth to see how you can help me sort of synergize everything together.
If I could be in multiple platforms live streaming the same item, so I wouldn't have to do multiple live streams to hit each and every audience that I have. So that's pretty much how I would love to use something like this.
Check out Switchboard.
Switchboard.
Switchboard. It's how you do live. It's how you do live.
It's how you do live.
It's how you do live. It's how I do live.